In this video, I'm going to show you the tools and the resources that I use every day to make my very own newsletter and build upon my email list. If you're watching this video before you've checked out all the videos beforehand, I want you to go back and make sure you've gone through the whole process first, okay? So everything builds upon one another here, so you don't want to be skipping steps, okay? So if you're watching this video without watching the ones before, go back and make sure you start from the very beginning. So let's jump right into the tools and the resources that you're going to be needing to set up before you can start putting together your very own newsletter. I call these the nuts and bolts of newsletters. So when someone visits your website or your blog and they sign up for your newsletter, this whole process needs to be automated. You don't want to be going through, individually sending emails to people after they've opted into an opt-in form. That's just going to take up way too much time. Okay, so this whole process needs to be on autopilot pretty much, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're probably sitting there wondering, it's all good to say that you'd need that newsletter opt-in form on your blog or your website, but how do you actually put that into process, and how do you actually get it onto your blog? Okay, so I'm going to show you all this stuff coming up in the next few videos. Just a quick little thought. I know this really gets on my nerves, and I'm sure it probably gets on yours as well, when so-called gurus tell you to do something, put an email form on your website, or do this kind of blog or do this kind of video, but then they don't actually give you the steps and fully broken down in like a guided action plan to make it happen. That really gets to me, and that's something that I struggled to get with when I was creating my own blog and website. So that's half the reason why I decided to make all these videos, is to make it pretty much like a no-brainer guide that anyone can do, and it's super simple and it's in little small steps, and so you don't get overwhelmed. Anyways, we'll move on to the next slide. So thing number one that you're going to need an email service provider or some form of list building software. There's heaps of different software or providers you can use on the net. I use Aweber. Aweber's probably one of the most popular within the online email service providers. Okay, so I'm showing you what I use, and I found it super easy to use and very effective, and I think you should be using that one as well. So that's Aweber. You're going to have to use Aweber, and there's a few reasons why Aweber is going to be the best for you right now. Aweber's super easy to use. The online portal is very simple. Okay, it's all, you can manage your subscribers in that one spot, and you can actually make multiple lists depending on if you've got different websites, or you want to make a separate list for your current active clients or lists for inactive clients. All this kind of thing. You can make different lists for different things. So it's very handy, and it's all in the one spot. And you can create opt-in forms to put on your site in under a minute, and it's so easy with like a drag and drop system for actually creating a newsletter as well. So the last thing there is number 4. It only costs $1 to start, so an investment of $1 is pretty minimal for something so valuable to your business. Thing number 2 that you're going to need is, you have to have, before you go ahead with anything, you're going to need a professional email address that you can use with your list building software like Aweber. So just for an example, I use Scott at my website worx.com. Okay, so obviously if you've gone through and registered your domain name and set up your hosting, from there you can actually set up your professional email address, whether it's going to be your name at yourdomain.com. Okay, so you want it nice and personal and very professional. You can't use something like at Gmail or hotmail.com with a service like Aweber. It needs to be coming from a professional email address. Plus, it makes your business look a lot more professional as well. Very, very simple to set up. You'd need to have that stuff done first. Okay. Thing number 3 that you're going to be needing is, you can remember in the first video in regards to what I was saying, the whole newsletter process, that you actually need to have 2 emails set up after someone subscribes on your opt-in form. So we talked about the confirmation email follow-up message, and then also the thank you email follow-up message. You need to be able to get these 2 emails sorted before you set up your Aweber account. Okay, so I'm going to show you the whole process, and I'm actually going to give you, so you can pretty much cut and paste the actual emails I use within my website. Okay, obviously you're going to have to tweak them a little bit according to your niche, but you've got the framework there. I'm going to give you those, and it's going to be super simple for you guys to set up. So they're going to be already ready for you guys as well. And thing number 4 that you're going to be needing is, you need to be able to decide whether or not that you're going to be just capturing email addresses or an email plus a first name. Okay, it's been said that the more fields that someone has to fill out on an opt-in form, that's going to affect the conversion rate and the probability of that person actually clicking through onto your newsletter. So that's why you'll see on certain websites these days, it'll just be asking for just an email address, whereas others you're gonna see that it's gonna have an email maybe plus a first name. So that's going to be totally up to you. I'd recommend at the moment, just the way it's working, just to try and capture someone's email address. Okay, that's going to boost your conversion rate. It's not going to affect your ability to build a relationship with someone though, strictly because once someone's actually onto your email newsletter and they're a subscriber, you can then build up that relationship and get to know the person a little bit better, and you can put a face to their email quite easily. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few little techniques around that in the videos to come. So now that you know what you need to get started, you've got all your tools and the resources, you need to get Aweber sorted. Okay, that's the go-to email provider that everyone uses. That's what I use, and so in the videos coming up ahead, we're going to be using Aweber. Okay, so that's what I use, and that's how we're going to set up all the follow-up messages, and we're going to start setting things up and get the ball rolling. Okay, so everything else is coming up in the next few videos, so I'll see you in those ones.